good morning. Welcome to Peter Dance with Katye Coe. Good morning, Katye Coe. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm well. I feel like I should say that we're sitting in my living room.
Yeah, and we're sort of starting here because, in a way, the thing you're sharing is a part of where you live and a part of your world. And we've met in Stockholm at different events. I mean, you're such an amazing figure. You've been connected to Frank Bock, who I know really well. But if people don't know you, what do you call yourself?
I call myself. Mostly, I call myself a dance worker.
Yeah, that's nice. The work is really important to do with sort of workers' movement and workers' rights.
I think so, and actually, there's an organisation that I'm involved in which is called the Freelance Dance Workers, and when we set it up, it kind of made me feel more at home in myself. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a dance worker, and actually it also means that when I'm dancing or teaching or rehearsal directing or working with people one-to-one, I'm a dance worker in all of those capacities, I suppose. So.
Yeah, because you do sort of therapeutic work as well, so then it fits within that umbrella a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm a dance worker, and I have been a dance worker for 30 years. 32 years. I said 20 for many years, and then I suddenly kind of went,
all of a sudden, yeah.
Oh, actually it's 30. Yeah. And I'm excited that you're here, partly because this place and this this house, but also this situation of being in Old Town and being almost next door to Wainsgate Dancers is still quite new for me. It's like the newest addition or iteration of where I do stuff and how I do stuff. And it's been really brilliant to have you here for a couple of days.
Thank you.
And
can we say where we are? Hebden?
Yeah.
We're in Hebden Bridge.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're in Old Town, which is
true.
It's up the hill from Hebden Bridge.
Yeah. So you get the light. I love that, what you said yesterday. We were on a walk and you said, this because we're up the hill from the valley. Yeah. We get the light, whereas in Hebden Bridge itself, it's a bit darker.
Yeah, and hopefully, after we've been in the studio, I'm hoping that we're also sitting in a house with a kind of storm outside. So we get the light, but we also get the wind.
Yes. And
the weather. You really get the weather up here. But hopefully we'll walk down.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Later, because the walk down into the valley has also become quite an important part of my being here is to go down into the valley and then come back up. Yeah, so we're in Old Town, which is also sometimes called Wadsworth. It's also sometimes called Chisley, but it is this collection of houses around what was once Gibson Mill, which was kind of built in the Industrial Revolution, and I think I'm not sure, but the chapel where Wainsgate Dances happens was there as a Baptist place of congregation for all of the people that live around here, but also worked in the various mills.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and you've had, like you say, a 30-year career. You've been a rehearsal director. You've been in dance companies, touring, and you've done a lot of work. And it's interesting, to see how now this is a part of your work, and it's a life in a lot of ways. We've been talking a bit about dance and Alvanoe and different things that I've been thinking about recently, but that it's integrated somehow, and maybe that the one way to describe that is what we're going to do today, if that's fair to say.
Yeah. So it's really generous and brilliant that you could come, and we could, like, that if this could also be in the rhythm of a day when practice begins at 9 o'clock, and part of the reason that I moved here is because of what happens at Wainsgate and what has been happening at Wainsgate for a while. And my friend Charlie Morrissey, among others,
who we might meet later.
Yeah, we will absolutely meet him. And he and Rob and others in this place have been developing a kind of curatorial but also a community presence for dance and dancing and other things there. And in lockdown, or just before lockdown, they started to have this daily practice, Monday to Friday, 9 till 10, with a playlist, in the Sunday school room at the chapel, called Open Practice. And then I think very quickly after that lockdown happened, and I was living in the Midlands and everything stopped, and everything went online, and I went to Open Practice every morning pretty much from Kenilworth, from
so
the
online,
Midlands. It was all online, and there was a huge, sometimes there were like 60 people, 70 people, of course from all over the world.
Yes, of course.
Joining in this hour-long playlist from living rooms, and some people had access to studios, and Charlie would often be
in the chapel.
In the chapel, in his office. So my experience of Open Practice to begin with was during lockdown, and then at various times that I've been up here to do workshops or rehearse with Charlie. Open Practice is the beginning of every day, and it doesn't stop for anything.
Okay.
It's a kind of foundation stone. So if someone's doing, using the space like we are today, or a residency, or whatever, it doesn't start till 10:15, because Open Practice happens first, and the encouragement for any artists that come to do anything here is that they will also join Open Practice, because it also means that you kind of meet the folk who also come, who are a real mixture of dance enthusiasts, movement enthusiasts, professional dancers, others. And
is it still online as well?
No.
That stopped.
It stopped, and Charlie would talk about this better, but that the kind of hybrid model, I think, is kind of complicated. Yeah,
you're either all online or you're all in the room.
And now there's a second foundational practice which has just begun this new year that happens downstairs, called Open Drawing. And I'd been away and I'd forgotten that it was starting, but so now we have a shared playlist and people making marks downstairs.
Drawing. Sketching.
Drawing. It is it's got brackets around it, so it is drawing. It's not sculpture or painting. It's like the skill of drawing or the act of drawing or mark making. And so that happens from 9 till 10 downstairs, because the building is also full of artists and art enthusiasts. And so now there's this kind of simultaneous open practice happening, which you're going to come to, and that will start our day off.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then we'll come back and talk more after. And I will find out, I suppose, but are there any rules or protocols that
there are
sort of shared?
For open practice, yes. And we have some time in the studio afterwards as well.
Yes.
Open practice has a kind of list of it's a kind of how-to. And those have been developed and kind of honed over the years of it happening, mostly kind of edited and designed by a group of us who all kind of share the running of open practice. And I guess it comes from the lockdown. I don't know if Charlie's ever thought about this, but some of those rules come from the lockdown period, which is this is to dance in your own way, in your own practice, in your own space. So you set up, often people use mats, and you set up somewhere in the room, and you kind of stay there. You don't travel around or be in direct relationship to anyone else. Some people bring their little ones sometimes. That's different, of course. They've got babes in arms or small ones, then they share space. But all of the adults are encouraged to stay in their own lane, basically.
Interesting.
And that just as a dancer, that's been really good for me to understand how to practice without having the whole space to move through. And you can do whatever you want. You can lie on the floor and stretch, and you can really move to the music. You can sob.
Yes. And I suppose because it is, you're provided your own space, it allows for actually within that space you can do whatever determined. And you're welcome. People arrive later, they need to leave early. It's also fine. There's a school in Old Town, a primary school, and a few people come some days who've just dropped their children at school, so they come a few minutes late, or the bus brings them late. And for me, it's become, when I'm here, mostly, that's how I start my day. Great. Well, we shouldn't be late, so let's pause here and see them
absolutely.
in a bit. Because we've already been alongside and had so many things come up. So we're back. And we have, it's maybe, how many hours is it? It's a couple of hours since we last spoke.
2.5,
We walked through the storm.
We did.
And then we warmed up and the playlist started. And many people came. I thought it was a lot, but you said it was a bit of a quieter day.
It's a quieter day. I sense probably partly because of the storm. We're in something called storm. What did you say? Chandra?
Chandra, I think so.
There's a musician called Chandra who I often play in my playlist if it's mine. But her music is not so stormy. So we came over to Wainsgate Chapel, and upstairs we're sitting in the Sunday school room.
It's beautiful. There's these big windows. There's a stained glass window. The paint is flaking from the ceiling a little bit, and it's a beautiful varnished wooden floor. And outside there is 2 pheasants which were accompanying me through the whole dance. We were on opposite sides of the room, and of course we stayed in our little sort of pockets.
Yeah, I mean, because it was quieter, I could catch you, like I was catching sight of you in there, and I guess there were 7. You got a touch of the oldest and the youngest today.
Yes.
Probably, I think that's the oldest and the youngest, kind of on as regular people. Julia, who always sits there.
To our right.
Yeah. I think Julia's in her mid-80s.
Wow.
And is pretty. Yeah, comes most days.
And she had a stick.
She has a
stick.
Yeah, she has
and
a
she
stick.
has a chair.
Yeah.
To sort of...
Yeah, and she's a real kind of dance fan.
Yes. Yeah, she was speaking of Matthew Bourne.
Yeah.
When we first.
Yeah. She loves Matthew Bourne and Akram Khan. That kind of side. She's really active. I'm inspired by, among others, Julia's kind of place in the world. Like, she's definitely down at the traffic lights on the pro-Palestine roadsides as often as she can be. And then George came, who is
a young child.
With a young child, and George, I think George is a dancer.
Okay.
I think maybe a street dance specialist. Although he might hear this and tell me otherwise.
It looked like he was doing yoga.
Yeah. And he came for 2 years with his older child, who's now gone to school, and so he's now introducing his younger child, and they often come for a short amount of time, but it will grow, and gradually they'll be here for the whole hour.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And what was nice was the relationship between them, because I was right next to them, and the child was asking the dad to continue doing something, or asking George, I should say, or not like that, do that again. Choreography, in the best possible way. But really, that 2-year-old, it's sort of like mindset of like, no, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's doing it for me. I don't care what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. So another sort of inspiration, and there are maybe 2 or 3 little ones who come with a caregiver sometimes, but George is regular. And George is actually one of the people. He would only be able to do it on a Tuesday, but he often runs a playlist.
Okay.
On a Tuesday, and his eldest used to choose some of the tracks for the playlist, so we'd often get like something from Mulan or something from Oliver Twist, or these brilliant things, and he really loved the Spice Girls. And maybe there's something to say about Charlie being, of course, like the main space holder, and if he's here, Charlie is the DJ as well.
Yeah.
And when Charlie's away, there's a kind of group of us that sort of on a rota, or whenever we're available, we'll do the job of opening up the space and providing a playlist and sort of just holding, as you can see, very softly holding the space.
Yeah, so today Charlie was the one creating and playing the playlist, and am I right in understanding he has it online as well, so it's also possible to...
Yeah, there must be hundreds now. of Charlie's Spotify playlist, and you can, if you just go to Charlie Morrissey, you can find all of them, including actually the ones that most of the rest of us produce. Sometimes we just send them to Charlie and he publishes them as well. And yeah, the group of us is me and Charlie and the other Charlie who you met downstairs.
Yeah.
He has his studio is here.
In one of the rooms off of the Sunday school.
Yeah, exactly. There's four
pink doors.
Four pink doors that look kind of like almost like I always think they look like a children's TV set.
Yes.
But they are some of the artist studios. Which reminds me, Peter, that there's possibility of interruption.
Yeah.
Which is part of being here. So if
of course,
one of the I just noticed Charlie's door is unlocked, so he may well
be back
with his drawing stuff at some point. So Charlie trained at Middlesex. Charlie Ford, this is the guy who you met downstairs, trained at Middlesex, but is an visual artist. A really brilliant.
Did you know each other when you were studying at Middlesex?
No. He's much younger than me, and his parent, he was born quite near here, I think, and came back. And his partner Lucy Suggett is another dancer, choreographer who is part of the group of us, I suppose, who, in some way, I think particularly Lucy, sort of support this space and how it's evolving. And then there's someone else called Caroline, who's a Feldenkrais practitioner. She also runs playlists. So I'm naming a few people as the kind of folk who take care of this morning that happens. And then there's a wider community. You met Maya yesterday. Yeah. And every time I sit on this floor, actually, I really remember me and Maya doing a varnishing afternoon, because it took several days to re-varnish this floor when we came back into the building after the renovations earlier this year. And yeah, there was a whole gang of us that were sanding and varnishing. Hello. That's Charlie Ford walking through. We were just talking about you.
Very positive.
In a good way.
Yeah, so if we go through what we did.
Yeah.
So we've arrived in the space. And there is this, we have mats that we're all lying on.
Yeah, most people choose to have mats because the floor is chilly.
But it also aids this, because we were speaking to Charlie just now, it found a little bit of its shape through the pandemic, as I think we said before.
This online version.
Yeah, so we all have our little spaces, which at the beginning were defined a bit by the mats, and then gradually the mats got taken to the side.
Yeah.
And it's all non-verbal. There wasn't any, okay, warm up over, we're starting now.
Oh no. It's
the music starts playing.
Yeah.
And then at some point I realised, okay.
This is what we're doing.
This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sort of unannounced. And even as a newcomer, I think you kind of got the gist of it.
Yeah.
So you can kind of vicariously pick up how open practice kind of works. I mean, you also have a knowledge of what it is to be in a dance studio, so you kind of, I trusted that you would get it. But yeah, the music
But with
starts.
some of the more, the people who aren't dancing as much as we are, maybe, do you or Charlie give them a little bit more information?
If newcomers.
Yeah, if they're new, of course. Yeah.
Newcomers, if they don't come accompanied by someone who, because people bring people.
Yeah.
But if they come on their own, whoever's holding the space or one of us will often kind of indicate where the mats are, let people know to set themselves up, and on the door out there is the list of this is what open practice is, and this is how it works, and that's on the website as well. So people can read through that, and it's like, oh, okay, so you just get on with your own stuff, no one's going to tell you what to do. It's okay to do whatever you want to do within the parameters of...
And the people really make, we were discussing this already a little bit, but the people really make the practice of that day. They make the open practice of that day. It reminds me of sort of what I know of like Quaker sort of church meetings, exactly. Because I've been to one, and I remember, you walk in, you sit down, and you sit in silence, and then at some point you decide, I've been there long enough, and you get up and you leave.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a texture of that, a quality that people enter, they know what to do, they lie down, and then when they're ready, they get up and leave. Yeah, and I guess that's also the shape of the arc of the hour. If I'm thinking about this, it's like you're in the shape of an hour, and you don't have to think about it because the music's going to stop. And usually, I know enough about the way that the arcs of the playlist work. Is that usually the energy generally of the music, the kind of increases, not always, and then it stops, and then it's finished, and there's often a thank you, but there's no kind of round of applause or and I really, one of the best things about being here doing whatever I'm doing, I was really thinking about this morning, is and you and Charlie were talking a bit about freedom. I can really, really dance. Like I can dance, or I can dance in whatever capacity feels kind of available for that morning, and no one's really taking any notice. And sometimes I really feel like I'm really like, wow, I'm like full. And I sort of know then I might be giving some energy out, or like, so, often I pick up from someone like Charlie, or maybe a bit more today you, and maybe I do pick up often from the other dancing folk in the space, because sometimes I need a catalyst or a bit of... but mostly I get a sense that I am not influencing or making other people feel in any way conscious of what they are or not, or they're not doing. And that's really unusual. It is. And this, because normally when we're dancing, we're doing it for a choreographer or for a performance, a production that we're making. Like there's an intention behind it. And there's something about, and even if, say we took a class or something, a one-off workshop or improvisation class, you feel like, oh, this is my opportunity, so you want to make the most of it. There's something about the regularity, the consistency, that you could come back tomorrow and dance again, or next week, that it's always there as a sort of staple. There must be a real relief, because of course I was still negotiating, like, this is my opportunity to be with you, and to bring what I'm working with, or what I need to work on. And of course I have productions in my head, I'm like, oh, should I be focusing on that, and so on. But the lack of, like,
direction verbally, and the freedom of the space, like you say, and the conditions, perhaps, and also the sharing of that conditioning as well, right? That there are other people committing to this moment, to not exchange even. There wasn't even a conversation after of how was it? Did you? What kind of dancing were you doing? Even though that's kind of what we're doing now.
Right. Yeah. It's really funny. Like the content somehow, the content of what I'm doing it's at once absolutely important and two non-consequent, like without consequence or importance at all.
Yeah.
My head just went somewhere from quite a long time ago, and maybe because Krista Parkinson made a kind of animated film on practice.
Yes.
Which I still feel like feels like yesterday, but actually it's really quite a long time ago probably now, that I wrote about and loved and taught with. So I often, in teaching spaces that I'm not in so much anymore, but when I was working with students regularly, there was often this kind of question of like, how do you develop a practice? And I found her, actually I used to set it as a task. It's like, you're going to make a self-interview on what you feel like is, has good agitation for you in practice right now. But I was really thinking about that in terms of how I might still somehow subconsciously be really referencing some of the things that she refers to in that self-interview, and that in a way how I sometimes navigate open practice. I could relate to a sort of self-interview.
Yes, yes.
Because there's no one else to interrogate or reflect with or discuss. And she has this, I might misremember this, but there is a part of that interview where she refers to practice as training. So if she's preparing for something, I think she named skipping. If she was preparing for something that required a certain endurance or a certain buoyancy, that would be her thing that she did that day, and it was skipping, or that week, and I definitely know that if I know I've got a particular week ahead, or I'm I'm preparing for a tour or a performance, then I will do something different, or I will use the hour perhaps in a preparatory way. But if it's just a kind of maintenance hour or a practice hour, I think I am really interviewing myself through physicality and affect through that hour.
And in fact, at school, that's that was something that sort of could exist. Like, it would be often a question that I would give, or I would hear in school contexts, where you'd be invited to almost interview the body or interview the self of what are you busy with today? What's the body carrying with it? What's important at this moment of time?
And how do I sit, or not sit because I'm moving, but how do I sort of sit in the fact of that? And there was something else I wanted to just mention in relation to being in class. Being in class also infers a particular way of seeing and being seen, which in the best scenario is really brilliant, because of course as dancers we're also practicing to be seen, so it's important, but there's something about the lack of focused witness in these kind of companionable hours that I come here and do this, that feels kind of it's like self-authorial.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this is just for me to sit and be with what feels like it's arriving.
And what's really striking is, I think, as I've taught how to make a practice, or like taught around practice, and also tried creating my own practices for myself, and I think like in thinking around practice, I've always felt that if one can establish a practice and have a regularity to be questioning and creating, one provides themselves the sort of space and knowledge through which to then draw from later. Gives them a sort of like control of their work in a one way or another. But it's really hard. This is why
it's really bloody hard.
Like when you're alone and there are emails to check, there is
there's all kinds of distractions.
Yeah,
when you're on your
life, food, TV, internet, scrolling, like the works. So what's really interesting to hear is actually how you moving here, the dance space, Wainscape dance, and the chapel, the room, the community, the initiation, the holding, all those things provide us a container within which it's possible to go into dance. And of course it's restricted, isn't it? Like there's only so much you can do within this hour, within a certain size of space. However, it's sort of open enough and generative enough to really provide something that the playlist has enough variation and sort of direction. And then also the thing of the people, they're bringing their life that day, even if it's someone you know. And you were speaking about people who were missing, and yet they still sort of echo in that relationship. And then also visiting artists like myself, of course, I imagine, just provide just enough of direction or encouragement or motivation or holding.
It's like an intervention. I think visitors, especially when they're dance artists, are also they're an intervention or an intravention. Karen Barad, I remembered.
Right.
Karen Barad is the person I was thinking about yesterday in relation to intra rather than inter. I can't remember in which context, but it felt important to remember.
She's the one who works with quantum
physics.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm really glad you mentioned the kind of thing about doing it on your own. I've just worked out over the years, and I used to give myself a really hard time about it. I'm not very good at practicing on my own. And I think I really spent a long time giving myself a very hard time about it, because some people really are. Our friend Matthias is like really amazing at like being in the studio alone, and just there's a introversion or an internalism that he has, but there's also something that I can do on my own when I'm alongside. There's this brilliant kind of like, it's almost like a liminal space, which is like, I've got enough information in my brain and my body after this many years of doing this thing, that I like input, but I will choose when I want input nowadays. but I'm here, and so something, I'm implicated in my practice because someone's next to me, and someone's over there, and someone's over there. So I kind of have to do it. Not that it ever feels like I have to, because I pitch up, but I'm held in the sort of responsibility of getting on with practice when I'm alongside, and I don't check emails, I don't go on my phone, I just go through that hour.
Because also, like, daily practice can so often then turn into exercise, like conditioning and so on. Whereas this it retains the creativity if one needs that, and a sort of return to.
I agree absolutely, because there are other things, of course, that I need to do too. Like, and I was just thinking about alongsideness, and like if I swim, which is one of my go-tos these days for kind of conditioning, I suppose, or like, accompaniment to this space. I'm also alongside. Like when I go to the pool and the lanes are open, I'm not getting input. I'm not going to a swimming lesson or an aqua aerobics.
Do more backstroke. That kind of thing.
I'm going up and down, but I'm also alongside again. So I don't just get in the pool and sort of, float about or...
No, absolutely.
Although that would be nice sometimes. But I'm implicated into the activity partly because I'm in this space of being alongside, and I don't go with someone, but there are other people there. And interestingly, the other thing that I do sometimes is run or practice outside, and I can do those things on my own. I wonder if there's a difference between being out and being in. I've not really thought about it like that before, but there's a sense that I'm not on my own when I step out the door with my trainers on. I'm already...
I mean, at least my experience, maybe just to see if I can find out, but it's like an adventure. There's a mission. One has to get to a place, and then you're in the place, and you have to sort of survive almost.
Exactly.
Like, and a lot of the practice in sort of a wild or wet and sort of outdoor space is meeting all the conditions of the weather and the ground,
being
and trying to.
I was just in. I love going out running with someone. But
whereas a dance studio, you can just come and lie on the floor and fall asleep. Like, it's so warm and comfortable. There's nothing to prompt you to continue negotiating the situation. Maybe.
I wonder also, this might be too kind of off piece, but I keep thinking about human. We're mammals, so we're relational beings, and there's something about like running outside or being in landscape, for example, where I am in relationship. And if I come to open practice from 9 till 10 in the morning, I'm also carried in relationship. It's not something that I'm intentionally attending to, but that alongsideness is nevertheless relational. And you were speaking earlier about your work with babies, and that work is relational, but not attentional with a capital A.
There has to be a sort of forgivingness. I mean, sometimes it slips into, when trying to talk about the baby work, like, is it participatory? That the children are participating, but I don't think you can really call it that, because the babies aren't doing something you want them to do. They're not participating in something. You're just allowing them to be present as they need, and then I try to be alongside that with the dance. But it's so nice, these two sort of spaces and being alongside, like when you're outside, you're very much alongside the weather and the nature and the environment, and then here you're also there's an alongside, so it's really an integral thing. And I wonder, because I was very interested in how you spoke about your role as a dancer and a dancer's agency, and perhaps there's a question around how does the authority of being alongside things function, and maybe in relationship to freedom. In fact, there feels as though there is something about exactly you're not being imposed upon, but at the same time you are taking care of those that you're in relationship to. A type of freedom that has an ethics incorporated into it.
I'm just going to check I've heard you right.
Yeah, I've said a lot of it.
No, so are you referring to the places that might feel authorial and free freer in this space, in this open practice space, or in the space of dancing in general?
Yeah, in general.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about.
Yeah. I was just thinking about imposter syndrome, and I don't know why it jumped in there, but I think I was thinking about open practice and how I mostly feel free to be dancing in this space, which I think might even feel a bit different to being a dancer or being a dance worker, even though I feel like practice, like this morning, is super adjacent to and often like really woven in with my work as a dance worker or my work as a dancer. But there's something that I learn along the way, which is to do with a kind of slow disintegration of proving anything. I can't believe I'm like in my 50s and still kind of going, oh, I'm like there's, even though I can really resist that in a good way, or like I can still get a sense. I get a sense less and less that I am doing something or being something different when I enter this space from entering a rehearsal studio or even a performance situation. Of course, I'm dealing with things that are much more specific in terms of instructions or scores or whatever it might be, but my sense is that I get closer and closer to a human being who does dancing wherever and however the invitation is, or whatever the invitation is. I don't know if that even touches the question that you asked, but there's something.
I think it does.
There's something that's arriving that it doesn't feel quite formed yet, but it's like, oh yeah, there's a something that sometimes I still have to get over.
Yeah.
That's truth. Of when I'm asked to do something for something, and the circumstances are that I will midwife ideas because that's what I set up in my own circumstances in order to be available for a choreographer or for an artist who's working alongside with me. And then there's it's like I've got to get over a hill of something in order to really know that what I bring is what I bring when I come into the room ready is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. The dynamic of the relationship is so. I mean, I'm sort of unpacking my role as a dancer still, and I really resonate with that sense of like trying to prove something. Where in this situation, there's something really generous that's given by having it such an open practice that people who don't identify as dancers or don't have dance as their main activity, are also able to attend, and it brings a lot of information and value, sort of revaluing of qualities and movements that perhaps if we were all professionals we wouldn't have in the same way. And of course it also brings the thing of the conventions that often are frustrating when meeting people who don't have dance as their sort of daily practice, of like there has to be music, or that it has to be movement, it has to be dynamic, sort of the things that sometimes can be irritating because alongside it being open and saying you're more than welcome to attend people who don't have dance as a professional practice maybe, but we're going to do what we do, regardless of you being here, but you're more than welcome to stay. And there's something super generous about that alongsidedness, that it doesn't compromise. It doesn't say that actually as a professional today I'm just going to work with my spleen and lie very still, and that's fine. It doesn't compromise that need and desire to sort of try to provide extra motivation or to tick the boxes of what is assumed to be dance, maybe. And vice versa. It means that it allows the people that are coming from outside of the dance field, maybe they are working with something that we wouldn't imagine to work with, and we can lend from that, we can sort of brush up against that and be with that.
Yeah, and I think probably, well, hopefully they brush up against, your spleen or whatever.
Yes, I think like, they must, right? We're so interconnected.
Yeah, the porosity, I think, and particularly for people that come enough to kind of get to know what it's like to be here. I guess, because the other thing is, it's like, this is a space where no one's watching, but this is also a space where eyes are open.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Like that, of course people close their eyes at the beginning, or like sometimes if they need to, but there's a porosity to presence which I really enjoy. And Charlie, I'm really mindful of something Charlie said this morning when we were chatting after open practice, and he said, sometimes I just look and I see, and it's like the best improvisation ever. And there is something that sometimes if I am a bit more kind of witnessy, if I'm in a corner or I see or I feel something, I do get this thing where it's like, wow, like everyone should see this. So there are these moments where you just sort of go, wow, this is a composition that could never be made.
Yeah.
And it has it all. And of course, the very crux of that is that it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't stop it from being kind of sort of fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's like I can't magic the unicorn up, the white horse. I'm sure he's in his stable around the corner, but there's also kind of magicness that you can't. It's the same in landscape. You can't magic the magic. That like the magic comes, passes by, if and when if you spend enough time practicing there, wherever there is, whether it's in whether it's in this room at 9 till 10 Monday to Friday, or whether it's and I feel like there's something that you said, and that maybe we were talking about time.
Well, giving a chance, I was thinking about that, because in my baby performances it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And obviously we assume that a child doesn't have a long attention. However, by giving 3 hours, you give the chance for something to occur,
Yeah.
the chance for attention to wander and come back.
Yeah.
And by remaining consistent and somehow stable, it provides, exactly as you're saying, like an openings into coincidence and beauty that you can't really conjure up. You can't prove in a way.
Yeah, I feel like often in processes, like research and development processes, or processing pre-production, I think it's probably different in Sweden, maybe, or Finland, or wherever. Yeah. But I think the opportunity for those collisions of brilliance to happen just often have to be kind of forced, because it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they're not always together. So that as dancers we pitch up with a lot of kind of ready to go-ness, so that it's more likely that those chances are more possible.
Yeah.
And hopefully choreographers or artists do that too, but that it's limited by time and resource in a way that somehow I experience in this room in the mornings. It's not limited.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like the heating's on and there's, speakers and there are people, but it's all operated by, people leave a donation, and we all run it voluntarily, because the reciprocity is really, I think everyone who's listening to this has got that by now, like the reciprocity is so generous. It's but it doesn't have a limitation of an end thing, like an end product or an end of process or an end of which holds it. It's my experience of it gets held in a way that I don't know apart from outdoor practice. I'll describe a sit spot in a minute, and apart from that, I don't think I know in my body so well as I do now, because I've been here for 2 years and been doing this thing now.
Yeah. And I mean, it is also the thing, isn't it, that if you would put a price on it, it changes it. So it's I'm so fascinated by these like subtle choreographies that sort of they act upon the work, so regardless how much a choreographer tries maybe to shield or protect the process from something like the fact that there are ticket sales, like it, or even it's performed at a place which is hard to get to for some people. That acts upon the piece, and there's something beautiful, because of course there's still barriers to entry here.
Yeah.
Like it's up a hill.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
that there are stairs.
Yeah. We
you know,
don't have a lift yet.
Yeah, it's
will have
in the
one.
middle of the Yorkshire moors almost, sort of thing. And but there's something about that you lean into those things. They're sort of acknowledged and recognised and sort of accepted. It's also that thing of I can imagine, and I feel like you've even said it, that some people come and say, oh, can't we do something that's, I don't know, more of a normal dance class? Or
Yeah.
like, could you do some samba?
Yeah.
And even that tone of like, you're making this very closed, elitist by only having it with this playlist, and not having it as a 5 rhythms, or having it as another dance class space. And yet, by sort of leaning into those conditions, you are also providing a very specific space and need. And that's important, because even though it's very open, it's very free, right? There's a freedom to it. There's an importance of keeping the edges specific so that it can maintain the uniqueness of that openness, rather than allowing it being co-opted by everything else.
Yeah. It's definitely not a kind of... Yeah, I agree, and I think Charlie, one of the wonderful things about watching him and being alongside parts of the development of this is that he's really honed it, with Lucy and others. It's been honed to actually, interestingly, what you're saying is something that is also quite specific.
Yeah.
It has now a very embedded and embodied set of circumstances that is kind of unquestioned mostly. It maybe was questioned more so, several years ago, but and also that most of those things happen nearby, and this, there are workshops here and that kind of thing. But from my perspective as a dancer, I have learnt as much about my practice in this non-led space that I keep showing up to than I have in any other thing. And it's interesting, I think I said earlier, it's like, you don't get input here, and that's really great. Always I'm coming to a workshop this weekend, and I'm often getting input when I'm in a rehearsal space and in other kinds of training spaces, but that's not true. Actually, there's a lot of input that happens, but it's not about instructions or conversation, verbal conversation. The input is go back to Chris's self-interview. It's like I'm checking and attending to myself in this particular set of circumstances in a way that has implications for what I learn and understand. And I wanted to mention that also in 2 quite significant processes that I've done recently, Matthias's group piece for Neuralive, and the re-rehearsal of the duet, and also as well Roberta Jean's process that was a long, slow one since lockdown. The invitation to have an hour in those situations was so welcome. And we would often come together and do something at the end of the hour so that we could feel each other in the space, because it was a group work. But this kind of hour-long something starts to feel very
Because you would do open practice before you went into rehearsals.
Yeah, pretty much. And Matthias would borrow one of Charlie's playlists.
Okay.
Or I would put it on, or someone. So there was and Matthias has rehearsed here, and so had other people that were in the work. And so there's this kind of like, and in that situation, we're working with a mature group of practitioners who also know how to get on with it.
Yeah.
I think if you're working with, like I was just thinking again about students and how amazing it would be to have a 3-year program where the first hour of the day was
open practice.
Was open practice.
And it is, I was also, I think the self-interview is a really good way of describing the experience I had, because we haven't really spoken so much about it, but in tangential ways we have. But definitely that was one of the things of like rooting through myself and where I am, where my physical body is, and what I remember, and what I like thoughts that come up, like, oh, let's try that, let's work with that, and then I work with that, and then I'm like, and then and maybe I'm ignoring the music for that, and then at some point the music comes in and I'm like, oh, I could follow that, and then I find myself doing that, and then I see someone doing a sort of rhythm or step or quality of stretch or something, and that sort of filters in, and then I'm asking constantly myself, like, what am I doing? What is it? I mean, one of the practices I brought with me was one I call "Is This It?" And I literally ask myself, like, do I recognize what I'm doing right now, and do I what is the thing I'm doing right now? How is it performing? How am I understanding it? If I move it, if I shift it, is it still the same? How does it alter? What is the itness of this moment and things? How was it for you? Because of course, this is just one day in hundreds for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that I affected it, but I imagine everyone affects it.
Yeah, I mean, I think your presence, it was interesting. Charlie gave the prompt of like going somewhere unfamiliar, because he's aware that, you know, not you, but for those of us that come here regularly, it's like, you know, I tend to be along that wall, along the stage. It's just, and it isn't because, well, I like it there, and it's near the unicorn when he comes past. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm next to Peter. And then there was this prompt, and because Jess, who wasn't here today, often is in this space.
Yeah, where you ended up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go in that space, and if Jess comes, I'm going to like really say hello to her and let her. So I was kind of in Jess's place, or like swapping places, and suddenly I was like, oh, there's this big diagonal between us. So I think like I began with a slightly different set of circumstances, in that you're here, I'm here, and I think I was aware of kind of wondering who was going to come in today, in a way that I probably wouldn't normally.
Yeah, because you're showing.
I'm kind of showing you,
you're
and sort of,
me.
I'm demonstrating.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, great, George is here, and great, Julia's here, and then sort of a few minutes in, I get busy with an injured hip and like this and that, and walk, and I mean all sorts comes through the hour. I was in this space quite a lot last week because another person who I'm working with, Kieran, was here, and so his kind of the kind of ghost of Kieran was here, and then I think I said like. I started to notice who wasn't here, and it's like I'm often really inspired by the qualities of, for example, what Lucy might be up to, or like if Maya's here, the other dancers who often come, I thought for a moment about how the playlist was for the drawers downstairs.
I was also thinking about that, because
Yeah.
this is new, isn't it, that they're drawing downstairs?
Yeah,
to the
I
same
think this
music.
is the third week.
I was so, and that's sort of against the point. I was so like, I want to see.
I know,
I
I
want to
said
see
that.
what's coming up.
Yeah, I said that to Charlie the other day. I was like, oh God, I'd want a show and tell. Not to show, not that they need to see what we're doing, but I have, of course, because I don't count myself as having a drawing practice.
Yeah.
But I'm aware of, I think there were like 5 or 6 people downstairs, like in their own, and in many ways it has the same rules. It's like you come, you have some basic stuff is provided, but you might bring your own charcoal or whatever it is you're drawing with, and you get on with it.
Yeah.
And the music is much quieter, but it's the same playlist. And last Friday we had Rob's playlist. And Rob is an artist doing the drawing downstairs.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hopeful. I was thinking about that, and it still had the same arc in a way, but it had a different sensibility to it, I think, because the practice of drawing is still embodied, but it's like a different, yes.
And it would be so different if they were in the room with us drawing.
Right.
Us,
And
or,
I think we've all had that, like,
yes,
which I quite like, but it's like,
it's a
often,
very different.
often if artists are in the space, they're drawing, the body's moving.
Yes, which is a different thing completely.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that Charlie mentioned that for him the practice started before this, when he was sort of borrowing from Steve Paxton, who he's worked with a lot, where Steve would dance to the Goldberg variations by Bach over and over again, just as a way to, as a container in a way to sort of hold a practice. And of course later on this became a performance, I think, but it was improvised all the time. And he was doing the same to Goldberg variations, and then it changed and morphed into the online practice. And the at some point, I assume, he didn't say why, but the playlist changed. But it's interesting to see what it is now, but also in relationship to that history, because of course Steve was looking for a way of practicing, which is the same motivation in a way. And now there's this whole network which is sort of structured around practice. And it reminds me of Deborah Hayes' practice. She would return to the same practice day in, day out.
Right. And I vicariously feel like I never did Deborah Hayes' solo commissioning project, but I work with choreographers, significantly Joe and then Matthias, who have done those.
Is that Joe?
And Amy Voris, actually. Joe Moran. Yeah, Amy Voris and Matthias Sperling, all like long-term collaborators who I would, frame as people that I've danced with, either currently or historically for a long time. And they were really influenced by Deborah and did the commissioning project where you had to practice the work, the solo, you did however long it is in residency with her, and then the deal is, I think it's an agreement that they all make, is that you practice every day for however many months. And I remember very distinctly, I think I was doing my MA at the time at Siobhan Davies, and Matthias would be in the downstairs studio every morning from 9 till 10 doing his Deborah Hay practice. And I often wonder if I would have stuck to that. But it was a solo practice. Not accompanied by music. And there's also maybe something worth mentioning, which is, I've taught class classes in different contexts for many years and often intermittently use sound, but would never have a whole class to music, except on the rare occasions you have an accompanist in the room.
Yes.
Which is very special and very rare nowadays. I can't remember where that would have happened. Maybe at the place a bit. Possibly. Maybe a bit at Rombe.
Yeah, Rombe usually has.
Yeah, although I was teaching improvisation, so that would happen in the afternoon.
Okay.
Because improvisation could happen in the afternoon. Although I do not call myself an improviser. I do not call myself an improviser because I feel like, a bit like somatic practice, it's been associated with a particular kind of something which I'm actually not very skilled at, that kind of instant choice making that I associate good improvising with. I don't do that. I believe when I'm teaching that I'm teaching technique. It's just not coming from a modality that can be copied or
it's
replicated.
Not counts. It's scores and
and sometimes it looks like really set material because of the exactness of what I'm bringing people towards. And I think Charlie, if I think about people like Charlie Morrissey and Amy Voris and others, it's the same, but the depth of detail, embodied detail and philosophical information that I get a sense of in myself, but also experience in those other people's classes is not. It's not improvisation with a capital I.
Yeah. And
actually, I can get quite wrong-footed in an improvisation score because there's something about instant composition that I'm all right at.
Yeah.
But it's not what I teach. Or turn to. But I just wanted to mention the music because that the attending to a playlist or being with a playlist, often that I haven't chosen, has brought something to me. There's a J on that tree there.
Oh yeah.
It's brought something to my dancing practice that I think I wasn't doing every day before.
Yes.
A lot of the time when I'm rehearsing, a lot of the time in performing, I'm not dancing to music.
No.
Or with music. Especially not kind of, disco.
Yeah.
and all the other things that get played, sometimes it's Caterina Barbareri and a bit of Bach and a bit of Russian, folk music and a bit of, drum and bass and a bit of Beyonce, all that stuff. But to learn how to practice in that sound has been also really an adventure.
Yes.
For me, and sometimes I'm like, am I in a club or am I in a class or am I in, it's been a brilliant adventure for my dancing to integrate being in the rhythm, in the nuance of rhythm, in the texture of music in a way that I hadn't consistently experienced for a really long time. I love it, and I also feel far less judgmental than I did when I first started I what I liked and what I didn't like.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because it is hard.
Yeah.
I think I find it in myself as well, where there's a sort of irritation of my freedom is being limited by this noise that I can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Or sound.
Yeah.
And then the sort of also the every track, because the track only lasts so long, and then the new track starts, and there's this but I don't want to go here.
Yeah.
I was still working with that.
Yeah.
Or that thing.
Yeah.
So that's nice to hear that it has that effect.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
And it's only occasional now where
Which is funny because our students will be like,
where's the music? I can't work without music. Or
Right.
if they're making a solo or a choreography. So I chose this piece of music, and the question from me is always, but why that music? What's the reason for it? And they're like, well, we have to dance to music. I have to dance to music.
And also, often when I'm choosing sound for class, I often have a kind of think, now because of open practice. For example, Caterina Barbareri was not a composer or a musician who I knew before, and I've gone down a kind of rabbit hole of like incredible sound. Often like really big, really long, like 20-minute tracks. I take information into my teaching with sound now that I'm so happy to be sort of DJing, and I'll go, is it Katerina? But no, I think it's like, oh yeah, actually, it's probably, something completely different. And sometimes it's like really, like you can't not. Because I think also historically I've often, because I trained as a Skinner releasing teacher, contact, you don't usually work with sound at all. No. In Skinner, you're finding the music to offer the specific graphic or score to, whereas in here, you're dealing with the music.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not been curated in a way that attends to whatever it is that I am busy with. Yeah. So you kind of have to grapple with it and deal with it. And for a few months, I was like, somebody put some silence on, like John Cage. But actually, you kind of eventually move past that in the way that you move past not being able to really cover space and.
Yeah, because I mean, there's always something you're having to deal with. The sort of misnomer of silence is that it's neutral or empty. There's plenty to be listening to, but equally there are other things that restrict and mold and shape the movement or the body or the experience that you can't get rid of. I think one of the ones that I was thinking about today was just the limits of flexibility type thing.
Yeah.
There's a specific range, and if I go into a certain range, I also go into a certain aesthetic as well of overextended or even just more flexible, or even yogic. There are places within the range and the flexibility of movement that echo certain things. And that can frustrate me as well when I find myself stuck. I mean, in a thing. Right. Yeah. But you wanted to try sitting.
I thought, if we go out, I because of course I brought you here, and this is really important. And it actually is a great way to meet in movement. I was like, it's this, because there's also, but I also recognise that in this landscape here, I also have another regular thing that I do that has actually nothing to do with Wainsgate dance. It's nothing to do with, but is like an intrinsic part of my facilitation work and work as a dancer, but also as someone who is committed to connectivity with a more than human landscape and beings, and it's really long that it's really long, that practice, and this bit living.
Something you've done for a long time, or it's a durational thing?
No, it's not long. It's 15 minutes.
Okay, but you've done it for a long time.
But I haven't done a sit spot for so long. So one of the other things that I do often, not as and often alone. So it's not related to performing, although I have done a lot of performing outside. But I have a practice of moving or sitting and then moving outside in landscape or in. Often people say, "Oh, it's in nature," and there's I don't want to get into a.
What is nature?
I don't want to get into a critique of what nature is, but there is another thing that I do when I'm here, which is connected to some work that I do with Kinship Workshop, which is an organisation that Tom Goodwin arrived probably 9 or 10 years ago now, and that I've been initially kind of supporter of, and then also facilitate workshops where we take people outside in really simple ways. That has definitely been a result of. It's like Karen Brad's intra thing. It's a result of my many years of practicing dancing and knowing about tools that can bring us into a bodily awareness of where we are and how we are in relation. And the workshop itself, or the content of the workshop over the years, has got kind of simpler and simpler. When we first started it, there was a lot of quite kind of specific scores that would kind of be about moving a lot for everybody, less autonomy, less choice. And in the winter time, which we're in now, we don't run those workshops so much because of the weather. But we do run this thing called practice group. And it's practice group that we meet online once a month, and it's for anybody that's ever been to a kinship workshop of any kind, anywhere, because it's a travelling workshop. It happens in different places. Some places we're invited to, some places we go back to. And since I moved here and Tom moved to Butte, just off the Scotland. It's about an hour train journey to Wemyss Bay and then a 45-minute journey. And so the workshops happen, among other places, in both the places that we now live. And we did them in Kenilworth as well when I was living there. And anyway, over the winter, there's a commitment to a regular practice, which I probably do not every day, but most days, which is a sort of minimum of 10-15 minutes of something we call a sit spot, and it's a local place outside. Could be your garden, could be a park if you're in a city. For me, I go up to this what I call a bowl. Tom calls it secret bowl because it's kind of a little bit off the path. And I practice there, and sometimes I just do a sit spot. Sometimes I stay out there for a while and move in the Helen Pointer kind of way for a while. And then we come together online once a month, and just as a place to kind of come together from wherever we are. And there's people sometimes people abroad. Sometimes there's one woman who's sometimes in Egypt, and there's a person in Wales, and there's several people in Wales actually, in Scotland and all over the place. And we meet for a couple of hours, and then we go off and we practice again.
Okay, but when you meet online, you talk about it. And
we call it kind of coming round the fire.
Okay, sort of. Reconnecting somehow.
And talking about what's occurring in this very simple practice and what we're noticing.
And so, there's a lot of like practice, like with Helen, she will lead this sort of thing.
Yeah. But when you're training with Helen, you also commit between the week. You know, if you do the year-long training, I think it's 3 or 4
sessions.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 days, and then in between you commit to an hour of inside practice and an hour of outside practice every week.
Wow. Okay.
And you also commit to like a subgroup that might be geographically chosen, because people come from all over the country to do it, and you also meet up with them and practice together. So there's this, I think we're probably both, Tom is training with her now and I trained with her historically, but we're held in this idea of a regular practice of some kind. And so if I'm here, I practice up there, or I practice when I'm walking through the meadows to get to my office where I see clients down into town. So there's a walk through the meadows that I sometimes just give myself extra time for, and instead of doing a sit spot, I'll do a slow walk, just an observational walk as I go.
So what are we going to do, like just practically speaking, if that's okay to ask?
Totally.
So we find a place outside.
We'll go to...
On the hill.
We'll go to the bowl, the secret bowl.
Behind the chapel.
Just because then you visit where I practice, and I love taking people there.
Okay, great.
And I'll set it up. It's very simple. It's that you find a place to get comfortable, that is probably not lying. There is a resting practice as well, but there's something about, particularly after moving a bit inside, that we can take our bodies to I can't remember the name of the American person who named it as a sit spot, but I think if you refer to a lot of indigenous ways of being in relation to nature, they would often have they wouldn't call it a sit spot, but they would often have a regular practice of observation that brings them into some kind of right relationship or alignment with where and what they are living with. And so I will, it's very simple, but I might give a couple of pointers, which is to, because it's cold, that a sit spot doesn't necessarily have to be completely still, that you can really shift probably in the same place, so that you're you stay in relationship primarily to your own body. And that can also be through kind of just keeping touch alive with rock or ground or self-touch. Eyes are always open. We don't go in here and kind of
close
do any of
eyes.
that. But all your senses are open. And you're just practicing sensing in. That's a bit of a sometimes I don't like that phrasing, but you're just seeing what arrives. What arrives into a seeing, which is more like a receiving seeing than a kind of hunter seeing. You're listening, you're feeling, kinesthetically, and that's it. And I can keep, I'll keep time, so that you don't have to, and then.
But it's nice just to, because it sounds like something you can really, even though it's very simple, but it's something you can really go into practice. So just to name a little bit like what we can try today to get a taste of it. But observing and providing the right conditions so that you can observe sitting, feeling, sensing.
And being alongside, actually.
And alongside again, yes.
Alongside you, but also, one of the ways that we want to, the attempt with connectivity and outside is that we are part of and with and also a visitor to the environment that whatever environment is that we're in. And Helen would always talk about in, not on. We're not on landscape or on we are in and with. And of course, like, the regularity of that practice means that if you go to the same place,
it changes.
There's always something magic. There's always something unexpected. There's always something new. There's always something,
Cool.
And so we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it. When we'll come back and we'll tell you what happened, and we'll say goodbye and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we can finish where we started, and we can reflect.
Oh, that'd be great.
We can do a bit of reflecting because I'd always love to hear what what arrived for you, and we can do that at home with a cup of tea. So we kind of do the circle literally.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. See you in a minute. Okay, so we're back. A little bit after we were.
Yeah, ate some food and.
Yes.
Lit a fire.
Yes. Back in the cozy cottage.
Yeah.
There was something really amazing with the practice about contemplation and silence, and in fact we walked almost the whole way back without saying a word, just sort of a cue to start walking, but non-verbal, and it's such a special place to be. And like, just experientially, I was with, at first I'm with the sort of bigger things, and I'm looking around, and there's rocks, and there's the heather, and there's you over there, and there's our bags, and then there's the clouds, and I think the hills on the other side of the valley made it look like it was a sea almost, and then there's the clouds moving, and there's the wind, and which is really sounding through the heather, and a few trees as well, and then I move, and I'm against this rock, and I'm finding different places between the heather and the rock, and I'm sliding and adjusting, and at some point I'm going into the detail of each leaf and the water droplets and the seeds and the different types of plant, the different types of green, and then at some point I find myself face down towards the mud, and I really saw like all the moulding leaves and the green around the roots and in the mud and the dirt, and there's just so much. It's such a complex environment to be in. Yeah. And I think that's what I was trying to say, is I feel as though one almost doesn't want to talk about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I realise that I usually go and do a sit squat or a bit of outdoor practice. Not usually, but maybe half the time I go before open practice or at the other end of the day. And I was really aware that there's heather, and also there are a lot of bilberries there. So some of what I think you're probably seeing was, and the new leaf is coming. Like, everything's full of new spring life, and those were bilberries. Some of the bilberries that fed me in June last year when I was only eating wild food, it's a long season, the bilberry season. It's a long season, and they're very they're very you have to be really patient to collect them. They're not agreeable. And so I was really with the robustness of those plants, and I was also slightly being moved by the wind.
Yeah.
And realised that I wasn't moving because the plants were moving, but I was moving. I could easily move as they were moving because the wind is so strong today. I've been up there in the rain and really cold, but I haven't been up there with the storm blowing above us. And having walked over, coming from the relative kind of humanness of the chapel, and then into this place, and then dropping down into a place where the human form just suddenly takes on a different kind of size in relationship to its surroundings, and I feel it even when I just do a sit spot like that. It's like I feel the insignificance of my body in relation to those huge rock faces and the myriad of plants, and also underneath the lichen and all the different greens. And I sat up next to quite a large crack in the rock, which I'm pretty sure has inhabitants.
Yeah.
That's why I checked when I went up there, because I thought, of all days, if there's a fox or a weasel or something, it's likely to be home right now, because it's so and I can see outside the raised kind of step where I often see kind of feathers or like a few little bones. I haven't seen any scat there, but I'm pretty sure I'm at the entranceway of probably a fox, I imagine.
And the rain was sort of special as well. It was, you could see the wind because of the rain.
Yeah.
Being sort of this mist that is sort of moving in waves with the wind, and for me the body feels, like you say, it feels so small in this grandeur, and also so much apart. And I'm super aware how these plants will keep growing and shifting. And I wondered, because of all the seeds, I wondered if some of the plants that I was seeing up on the cliff were related to the ones below, and if they move away from each other or closer to each other through time, and how I move and get closer and nearer. And I think this I really noticed when I worked with Elise Brewer, an artist in Sweden, and we were working outdoors, of how you find on a slope with all these rocks and bushes and things, you can find positions that are so comfortable, which you just don't find in the not, because we don't have that sort of there's no those options of this landscape that molds, and you mold to to the landscape. It's very special physically.
Yeah, and I watched you kind of tip down at one point, sort of tipped off the edge, and I really know the generosity of the ground there, in a lot of landscape actually, but moorland and heather and bilberries offer this bed that you can kind of roll through. But rock is really well, I often think about it I think we talked up there, it's like I imagine the rock that built this cottage is probably quarried from there, because it's so pre-industrial, there's no way of transporting anything very far. so I think I'm probably not inaccurate in imagining that, and the solidity of this little home is really mirrored in the sort of because even though the storm was happening and we were blustery up on the tops, you drop down into those bowls, and it's also shelter. It's shelter for other beings, and it was shelter for us in that time. And you're absolutely right about this quiet that it leaves me with.
Yeah.
And if I don't have company and I come back, I can often be very happy not to speak for a really long time. And the weather is really loud today, but so the birds were not. I saw one seagull, I think, trying to
navigate the wind. It was being thrown about. I remember
exactly.
it.
But the nesting birds will arrive soon, not into the bowl, but up onto the moor above. And curlews arrive to nest here every year, and so that place gets filled with their calls. And it's very simple. It's really simple. But I often am aware of like how cliched this is, but it's like, oh well, I'm part of a congregation when I'm there. I'm part of a whole ecosystem of other beings that, because we've been using this word alongsideness, like Charlie said for open practice, it's like, oh yeah, okay. But I sometimes get a sense, it's like, well, I can speak about it in two ways, and they're both true. I can speak about it, it's like I'm going there because I want to offer myself and that place a little bit of time to be felt and seen and to be part of. And that, and then at some point I looked up at the rock face that I was leaning against, and there was these drips kind of coming down, and they hit my face, and I was aware of your presence over the other side, and I was like, wow, this feels like prayer. Or worship. But I don't want to be reverent about it. It doesn't feel like I'm being sort of reverent, but it does feel like I'm part of something that I know enough about, both in the practice and the place, to know that if I give it that 15 minutes or an hour and 15, if I'm going to move, there's a reciprocity in that place that means I'm welcome there, and
and I was I had to think of, because of the quietening and the speechlessness of it, I had to think of your text, She Dancing.
Oh, well done.
And it's a fantastic text, and really, for me, really captures this, especially this difficult of talking about dance, the things that aren't utterable, that aren't vocalizable, and I feel like that, like this podcast is really, it's an impossible task, which we're so used to as dancers. We're often given these assignments within an improvisation setting or within class or exploration, which invites us to do something that is not fully achievable, and that's this sort of assignment of like, how, like, we are only using words to try and get closer to what it is we're doing. And I think I use it, well, the podcast uses a lot of like instruction, basically. Like, we did this and this and this. These things happen.
Yeah.
You could recreate the instruction, but it doesn't tell you everything about the reality of it.
Yeah.
And especially these outdoor practices, we all know what the outdoors is, but to know the specificity of it and the uniqueness and the realness, the liveness, it's the same I have with babies. To come back to that again, is I even though I've been working with them for 10 years, I still have an assumption of how they behave and what they're like, and then every time I meet them, they surprise me immensely with what they're interested in and just how their tempo is and how their physicality is, like the detail which amounts to their whole, because they don't simplify themselves. They live in that complexity of detail, and I'm always overwhelmed by my incapability of actually naming exactly what it is, and I'm still struggling. And again, that just it again reiterated that.
Yeah, it's very, what you say really resonates. I know that Tom and I have struggled for the entire time that we've been working with this nature connection work, and even the word nature connection is already like weird. Work of being in kinship with more than human beings. We have really struggled in many different ways to describe something that is fundamentally embodied. And I get a sense that she dancing which also really needs context. Not for everybody, but I often imagine publishing it as a piece of writing was both a blessing and also potentially meant that it got read like writing rather than read like dancing, whereas the performing of it is, that I dance for 40 minutes among people who are not really paying attention to what I'm doing. Sometimes I dance in a different space where no one is there. If the band is playing, I'm just not visible in the dancing. But then I come out and I've been dancing for 40 minutes, and then I speak it. I speak it as a piece of music from the experience, but it is supposed to be read from the experience of dancing. That's how I made it happen. And I have read it in settings before where I haven't danced before it, and it's really different. So there's something about reflecting on moving or sitting in an open sense way out there that also requires the embodiment of it in order to reflect, which is probably why we didn't need to say anything. It's like, well, we're just with the experience of something that in many ways is just very everyday. It's just not it's not the everyday for the huge majority of people living in such a vast indoor world. And we feel like, or I trust that a commitment to that practice and a commitment to finding ways to offer other people that practice. You asked about activism yesterday, and it's like this is a way of activating a more right relationship with yourself, and I believe that dancing does that too. So there's probably a pathway between the words in She Dancing and the words that we might use to describe Kinship Workshop, and I think it is activist, and I would say it's quiet activism and it's everyday activism and all those other things, and it's just it's not making anything new happen. It's just giving some time for ourselves to feel things we already know somewhere, like deeply, and anciently.
Yes. Yeah,
and I think that's the same with dancing. I think these human bodies have always known dancing. Always. It's not far from our knowing.
No, we spoke about the dance being simple. There's something so, it's so readily accessible, and of course that's sort of the power of it as well. And I feel so blessed to have met your work in this way, and to be able to come into your practice in this way, to be invited in, and maybe the podcast acts as some sort of conduit to really focus in and say, what do you do? What does it do? And you've really illustrated, at least to me, the living in this place, the being in relationship to this community, to this temporality, this timing, this practice of going to the chapel and then having or being situated in a sort of more rural area and being able to go into more wilderness-like places. It's such a pleasure, and if I can, because it is really so inspirational. It really teaches me a lot about what I'm doing by doing this. And if I can borrow from you and sort of imagine that this podcasts aren't really to be listened to, they're to be danced as well, or to be considered more as a dance. And that was always there's always a tension there, a sense there. In fact, often people I approach, some people I approach, they'll say, but I don't dance, and it's called Peter Dance With. And I'm like, but it doesn't have to be dance that we do. But because, in fact, the encounter is about embodiment and being in the now and trying to resonate with that practice or that activity or that day, that person and that place. Such a gift. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. I really, I'm really grateful also that you can articulate it in that way. And what I realise about today and yesterday is, in my usual kind of spidery way, I didn't know. I didn't know if we were gonna, start sort of dancing some kind of score that I would propose inside the studio. I didn't know we were going to go out. But something starts to become clear when you also spend time with someone.
Yes.
It's like, these are the two practices. These are the two dancing, moving, somatically, deeply informed practices that I do here whenever I'm here. So it's that you were dancing with me, but you were also dancing with this place and all the people that I know, and not all of them, but it's like much more spacious than two in a way.
In that way, you've really held that role. I spoke about it before at the chapel, of role of the dancer by holding the choreography that you sort of live within.
Or midwifing.
Exactly.
It's
That's
like,
a
this happens, this is going to happen.
Exactly.
That place is going to be there.
Yeah.
Whether I'm there, whether we go there or not.
Yes.
And that open practice is going to be there, whether we go there or not. But they're just the things that I do. And it's really funny because at the very beginning we were talking about being a dance worker. And, you know, it's often how I get paid is for dancing or teaching dancing. But also today, doing these two things is about dancing and being.
Yes.
Of course there's labour if you want to talk about it in that way, but it's like, this is not paid work. No. This is just daily life.
Yeah. That's it's the best way to sort of wrap up in a way the whole thing.
Yeah.
I will link to everything we've mentioned. Hopefully I'll try and catch it all, and I will also share your website, and so if people want to get in touch with you and learn about your work.
Or at least my email, because my website's really embarrassingly out of date.
Oh, I feel your website's very resourceful though.
Okay,
it's very nice actually to read and to read a website from a dancer's perspective as well. Because you articulate the practices with others in a really beautiful way.
And we can add the kinship workshop website, which has a sit spot score in it.
Oh, great!
So if people want to do a sit spot after the healing of our hours, they can just go there and
follow the score.
Oh,
that's brilliant!
And if people want to do an open practice,
they
can get
They
can get in touch with Charlie or borrow a playlist and
and maybe you will be at the open practice and they'll get to meet you as well.
Yeah, but people could also think on the idea of it if they're farther away and get in Charlie's
borrow the
playlist. Dance from 9 till 10. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for listening. If you can support the podcast, please go to paypal.me/dancepeter. I'm just looking for a little bit of funding to help support the cost of the hosting. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much.